The other thing is that there were 100,000 people at this rally on Saturday, not just from New Jersey, but also Pennsylvania, which is a swing state. How about that? And
I think we're probably leading in New Jersey. We had a rally, over 100,000 people this weekend. A lot of the mainstream media didn't want to say how many people. They didn't want to cover it.
CNN's Daniel Dale is with us to fact check. Daniel, you've been busy.
I've been busy. I counted at least 26 false claims in this one rally speech. I'm going to take a deep breath. Let's try to go through them all.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
So Trump said Democrats rigged the 2020 election. We know that's a flat-out lie.
Trump said Joe Biden cheats on election. Another lie.
Trump said he's leading in, quote, every single poll. He leads in many polls, but trails in a whole bunch of others.
Already dead.
Now, I know Trump may have left the economy in tatters, but he sure as hell keeps fact checkers employed.
Take a deep breath. You know what? You said a lot
of
of very important things, but I can't get over the price of bacon one. It's just very weird.
79% would be high.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
All right, guys. Well,
now, as we know, Trump and his cult followers continue to spread endless lies and disinformation regarding his most recent rally in New Jersey, in which the attendance estimate has varied from 10,000, 20,000 to upwards of 80,000.
And when you see Wildwood on Saturday, where he has 100,000 people show up, 100,000 people.
Yeah. So Johnny was there. You'll see that tonight.
Oh.
And he said it wasn't 100,000. Said it was closer to 30,000.
Sounds legit, right? I remember the last time I was at a Yankee game, the announcer estimated that the attendance was between 10,000 and 100,000, with a mere 80,000 person threshold.
A tender-hearted woman's love for half-frozen steak. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she sighed.
But it is with the endless flow of diatribe that CNN's fact-checker Daniel Dale is kept pretty busy and does his best work combating. His most recent example, there were upwards of 20 lies, consistently spread by not only Trump, but regurgitated by his minions.
Trump said he won South Carolina by 40 or 50 points. That's not true in any primary or general election. Trump said Biden-era jobs numbers are rigged. They simply are not. He claimed that inflation under Biden has been 50%. In fact, total inflation has been roughly 20%. Trump said the price of bacon under Biden is up 79%. It's actually about 13%. Trump said New Jersey has the highest electricity costs in the country, not even close to true. He said California gas prices had just hit $7.21 a gallon. Gas Buddy tells me that just one out of 10,526 California stations was even above $7 the day he spoke. The state average was $5.26. Trump said we have 42,000 soldiers in South Korea. It's about 28,000. He said that before he changed things himself, South Korea paid the U.S. I'm going to cough. I'm sorry. So he said South Korea paid the U.S. like nothing for that military presence. It was actually paying the U.S. more than $800 million per year, roughly half the cost. He said he built 571 miles of border wall. Federal data shows it was 458 miles. He said his ongoing criminal trial was, quote, all done by Biden. Again, there's no evidence that Biden has had any involvement in this trial. He said Biden indicted him. Nope. 4 grand juries of ordinary citizens indicted him. He said he's been indicted more than gangster Al Capone. No, Capone had at least 6 indictments to Trump's 4. Trump said Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg has allowed crime to go completely unchecked. That's wrong. Manhattan crime was down last year, has continued going down so far this year. Trump said Biden's Oval Office is surrounded by fascists. Just made up. It's fiction. He spoke of NATO countries having failed to pay, quote, bills before he came along. That's not true. NATO's guideline for countries' own defense spending does not create any bills. He said millions of migrants from prisons and mental institutions are entering the country. That's more fiction. He said foreign leaders in Africa and Asia are emptying their prisons to send prisoners here to the U.S. as migrants on purpose. Also fiction. He spoke of how Biden-era illegal immigration will supposedly destroy Medicare and Social Security. Even anti-immigration activists acknowledge illegal immigration actually boosts those programs since many undocumented people pay taxes even though they're ineligible to receive benefits. He said every legal scholar wanted Roe v. Wade overturned overturned and abortion policy returned to the states. Totally wrong. Multiple legal scholars have told me personally that they had themselves wanted Roe preserved. He said every Democrat, he said for the most part, wanted Roe overturned. A complete reversal of reality. Huge majorities of Democrats supported Roe. Trump said Democrats want to change federal law to allow the execution of babies after birth, another out-and-out fabrication. He said he will, quote, stop Joe Biden's sinister plan to abolish the suburbs. No such plan, of course, exists. And Trump said the BleachBit email deletion software used by Hillary Clinton's team years ago is, quote, so expensive. It is actually free of charge.
Damn! That is oldie but goodie. Daniel, wow. Take a sip of water. Take a deep breath.
Now, as we know, it's one thing to lie about crowd sizes. I mean, the man started his presidency doing this. All remember the alternate facts, don't we?
The president asked the White House press secretary to come out in front of the podium for the first time and utter a falsehood. Why did he do that? It undermines the credibility of the entire White House press office on day one.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
It's just second nature to this egomaniac to assume that large swaths of people are coming to see him. But having to give him printed pictures of his rally as to keep him awake during his court hearing. Are we fucking serious here? Are we talking about a full-fledged adult?
The Trump behavior as a defendant is the most absurd defendant behavior I've ever seen. First of all, there is the eye closing, which he now does about 10 minutes into the proceeding. And I think he's doing that to try to prove to us that he's actually not sleeping because it's only 9:40 a.m. But the eyes are closed for extended periods of time. The head starts to tilt. And then when he's not doing that, I actually saw him looking at photographs of, and I could see over his shoulder, of what appeared to be crowds, possibly photographs of his rally this weekend, stuff completely unrelated to this case. And
I mean, Biden was right when he said this isn't necessarily about age as to who is too old, but that he's running against an infant, a child who needs crayons to keep him occupied at the table.
Really quickly, if I can, Lisa, your observations on Donald Trump today.
Sleeping. Again, you know, they have tried a number of different devices. Yeah, sleeping for a lot of it. I would say they've tried a number of different devices to keep Trump awake, partially in response, or what appears to be in response to collective press corps observations. So, for example, when there are sidebars, an attorney doesn't leave his side anymore because leaving him alone means leaving him to potentially sleep. He has a stack of papers with him at all times now to go through. But neither of those things seem to have protected Trump from his own exhaustion today. More than not, when I looked up to see how Trump was receiving the testimony, Trump was not receiving it at all because his eyes were closed.
I mean, let's put aside the fact that if anyone thinks this is more than even 10,000 people, let alone 100,000 people, they need to get their upstairs control room checked immediately. But how much of an inferiority complex do you have to be given printed out pictures to boost your self-esteem? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised at this point. This is the same man who drew an extra outline as to not appear wrong in regards to discussing the path of a hurricane.
Was going toward the Gulf. That was what was originally projected. And it took a right turn. I know that Alabama was in the original forecast. They thought it would get it as a piece of it. It was supposed to go, actually, we have a better map than that, which is going to be presented, where we had many lines going directly, many models, each line being a model. The original path that most people thought it was going to be taken, as you know, was right through Florida, where on the right would have been Georgia, Alabama, etc.
And that map that you showed today looked like it almost had like a Sharpie.
I don't know.
But this is why I've always said that every Trump projection is a confession in some way. All the things that his supporters like to convey as his strength and saying what he believes is actually a confession of his own inferiority complex, using an inflated ego filled with hot air of yeses from people around him to mask the fact that deep down he's an insecure, petulant child.
Of course, the 2024 election is in full swing. And yes, age is an issue. I'm a grown man running against a 6-year-old. Well, I feel great. I really feel great.
I mean, think about it. Giving him pictures to keep him happy during trial. Oh, here you go, Donnie. Here's pictures of your birthday party. Look, everyone was there. Now just go night-night.
Over 100,000 people this weekend. A lot of the mainstream media didn't want to say how many people. They didn't want to cover. But in fact, I don't think anybody did. I hear the crowd was not shown by the mainstream media, which is what they tell me. But that's par for the course.
I mean, are we seriously considering regifting this man the nuclear codes?
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.